Relying on our phones, looking to see what was going on, and we heard that there was a shooter.
Well, shots fired in El Paso's VA hospital for a few hours. Simply panic and terror.
Two Border Patrol helicopters circling constantly with shooter with snipers just over the top of the hospital in the parking lot area.
This is the story that has you in a heated discussion in our social media network tonight. From the security at the VA clinic to care for veterans.
All of a sudden, all I hear is my friends texting me, talking to me that there's an active shooter in the building. Now we got all kinds of helicopters and a lot of guns out there.
Tonight, in-depth coverage of how you are dealing with the shooting in El Paso that is now being talked about all around the world. And if you are going out tonight, your friends might be wondering where you are if you don't listen to this ABC-7 traffic alert. It's happening in northeast El Paso on Trans Mountain. Also developing tonight, you're under a StormTrack weather first alert. Nichole, they need to get those smartphones ready.
Absolutely, because we will need those weather pictures. The first alert is in effect. Stronger winds, possible freezing rain. Details in StormTrack weather.
It's all coming up next on ABC-7 at 9. Get ready. You become part of the day's news right now.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC-7 at 9 on the El Paso Las Cruces W.
There were a lot of police across the street, and then we just kind of came out and started watching. There were a few people here that had appointments at the VA that were just kind of waiting to see what was going on. It's really sad what happened.
Shock, confusion, sadness, just some of the words you were using tonight in our social media network in reaction to the new details that we're still uncovering on the shooting at El Paso's VA clinic. ABC-7 confirms a man walked into the clinic near Beaumont Hospital, shot a doctor, then took his own life. You followed the story as it happened on our Facebook and Twitter accounts. Now, 6 hours later, our viewers, just like you, criticizing the VA system altogether. Justin saying, I hope vets get treated better after this. I went to the VA in El Paso, and all they did was shove pills down my throat. And from Angel tonight, these veterans are getting tired of not being helped. Gotta fix something before something else like this happens again. It only takes one to get that chain reaction. Hello, everybody. I'm Bob Harp. Thanks so much for joining us tonight on ABC-7 at 9, where your reaction to the day's news actually becomes part of the story. And on a day like today, there is so much information floating around out there in social media, and a lot of people are talking about this shooting and what they saw and what they heard. And, you know, it can almost be too much to take in. As always, I'm joined here by Nichole Gomez, who helps us make sense of all the social media buzz every night. And, Nichole, you also issued a first alert because of the wind and the cold coming our way. We'll get to the weather in just a bit, but first, the VA clinic shooting has people talking.
Oh, absolutely, Bob. And just keep in mind, this is the only newscast in the borderland dedicated to social media buzz. The format of this newscast allows us to put it all together, all for you, in the next 30 minutes, and you can also interact with us. You do that, it's very easy. You can go to Facebook.com, KVIA TV. You can also find us on Twitter. It's at ABC7 Breaking, and don't forget to tag us with your Instagram post with the hashtag KVIA TV.
And Nichole, you know, just checking our social media network tonight here on the laptop, we are finding out that people have a lot to say and they need updates. And that is why they are joining social media, simply because they're getting those updates instantly. So let's go ahead and get you caught up to speed. The shooting happened at about 3:15 this afternoon in the Beaumont complex near Alabama and Fred Wilson. That is in north central El Paso. Now, like we said, there was panic and chaos inside and outside the hospital. Law enforcement from federal, state, and local agencies, they were quick to move in as the massive manhunt for a possible gunman or shooters got underway. Border Patrol agents were flying high above the Beaumont complex with snipers hanging out of the helicopter. Others were on the ground, not sure if there was more than one shooter. Now, Nichole, within minutes, our ABC-7 crews were actually on the scene with law enforcement with minute-by-minute updates on social media. We actually had two crews working those developments.
That's right. We had reporter Jerry Nahara. He was tweeting us updates throughout the entire event. He hashtagged breaking. More Homeland Security officers are arriving at the scene. Fort Bliss Police, El Paso Police Department constables are also at the scene. Authorities searching for suspect after active shooter reported at Fort Bliss.
And we also had our reporter Pilar Arias working the story from a different side of the lockdown zone. She was tweeting some pictures for us as this all happened. Now, they show a group of people at the hospital and the clinic, both patients and staff. Now, in these pictures, you can see that they're all in a big group, held behind yellow tape for their own safety. This was a day, I should say, that people who were there or knew people who were there really relied on social media. Again, all about the instant information. Now, we were also getting some updates in our network from people who were inside the lockdown zone. John, who says that he works at the Beaumont complex, posted this on our page to keep us all in the know. He said, as of right now, people who witnessed everything unfolding is going to be questioned by FBI, but some floors are still being checked for an accomplice. That was still at about 6 o'clock when John made that post. Again, we know the gunman reportedly shot a doctor, then turned the gun on himself, taking his own life. Jerry Nichole was in the news conference that just came to an end not too long ago, and many of you watched it live right here in the CW, thanks to the ABC-7 staff who put it on quickly. And Jerry is still at Beaumont Complex. Jerry, get us caught up to speed tonight.
Bob, some very intense moments for a lot of people out here at William Beaumont Medical Center. Arriving on the scene, there was dozens of police around the hospitals, some officers even putting on their armored vests. We also saw armored vehicles in the parking lot. A few helicopters, like you said, were flying in the area with agents, and they're pointing their rifles out of the window. Many people outside of the hospital getting conflicting reports of a shooter inside the VA clinic here at William Beaumont. At 7 p.m., Major General Stephen Twitty announced the tragic news.
The alleged shooter is dead, and we have one casualty. That casualty is deceased. All other VA patients and staff are safe.
Now, officials at Fort Bliss did not allow the media to ask any questions, so we don't know if the shooter shot himself or if he was shot. Now, the offices of Beto O'Rourke did send out a tweet saying a doctor had been shot. Fort Bliss officials have not confirmed that, but they are telling us this is still an ongoing investigation happening right now. Bob?
All right, Jerry, live at William Beaumont Army Medical Center in the complex there. Thanks so much for that live report, and good job today. And within a few hours, the search for the gunman may have been over, but security forces, they really didn't want to take any chances. They kept the VA clinic and Beaumont on lockdown all evening. This is video that we shot as the sun was going down. Patients standing outside in hospital gowns. You have to feel for them. Now, we know that military buses were even brought in, and they were actually placed outside the hospital, and the patients were then taken inside the buses simply to keep them warm. And again, as you can imagine, Nichole, plenty of reaction to the VA. Our stories on social media have sparked a whole different discussion altogether other than the shooting.
Right, Bob. A lot of people just expressing their concern about the veterans here in El Paso.
Yeah.
Let's listen to what Adriana had to say, excuse me. She says, this is why our soldiers with PTSD have no business being dragged through the VA's red tape. So sad. God bless everyone affected by this tragedy. And Rudy tells us, wow, let's see how long it takes for this sad news to hit national networks and see how fast politicians start using this as their talking points on national news with the new Congress nonetheless.
And Paul has this to say tonight. Tears flow. Together we must find answers. No more finger pointing. Vets helping vets. That includes family. And Richard saying VA's red tape takes another one. Our VA ranked the worst in the nation.
And from Maria, keeping everyone in our thoughts and prayers. Very unfortunate way to start the new year. Thank you, first responders, for a great job in protecting our community.
And as this situation was unfolding, we even spoke on the phone to a man who was at the William Beaumont Army Medical Center complex in the parking lot. He was on the phone as this was all going down. He described to us the sense of urgency and the police presence as well.
They've got 3 command stations set up. There's 2 Border Patrol helicopters circling constantly with shooter with snipers just over the top of the hospital in the parking lot area. There's probably 50 or more police vehicles, different Border Patrol, El Paso, I believe, military, and they're holding everybody inside. They're not letting anybody in or out.
Again, reporter Pilar Arias was also there speaking with others who were caught in the confusion. Our coverage and your reaction to that continues in just a little bit. But first, we actually have some more developing news to get to before we get to the other comments. Breaking news tonight out of Northeast El Paso. A part of Trans Mountain Road closed because it appears that someone was hit by a car. EMS is confirming someone was taken to the hospital. El Paso police are saying this happened on the 4300 block of Trans Mountain, which is right by the US 54 overpass in Northeast El Paso. Again, we were told the westbound lanes, meaning going up the mountain, were blocked from the northeast. Still, it looks like emergency crews are there with the flashing lights. So if you are in Northeast El Paso, you need to head west. You might just want to take notice to see if it's open and leave a little early, because you might have to leave if you need to get there on time. You might have to go all the way around the mountain. In the meantime, as soon as we get any more details on that, we will certainly keep you updated. Okay, now that first alert. Nichole, you have so much to talk about today. You're talking about some wind and some freezing temps, maybe?
Yes, it's kind of been like a roller coaster ride. Last week, we froze over, then we got a warm up. And Bob, I told you yesterday, I think Tuesday you're going to like me. Wednesday and Thursday, probably not so much.
So I get a final hug tonight?
Yes, because you're going to be mad at me tomorrow. Well, let's talk about that first alert that is currently in effect. Now, the StormTrack weather team issued that first alert earlier today, and it's for Wednesday and Thursday. We are expecting the winds to pick up late tomorrow morning, afternoon, stronger winds on the west side of town. Thursday, we're expecting possible freezing rain, and this could cause travel problems if our temperatures freeze overnight and we do get the rain that we're expecting. Now, Doppler radar showing us clear skies for tonight, but a wind advisory will kick in tomorrow at 11 o'clock and will remain in place through Thursday at 5 o'clock. Our wind gust tracker showing us just how strong those winds will pick up. El Paso around 41 miles per hour, and it doesn't look like we'll get a break from these winds. 8 o'clock, we're at 34 miles per hour. So I'll let you know just how long the strong winds will stick around. We'll talk about the freezing rain possibility, all coming up in your full StormTrack weather forecast after the break.